I wish that things were going better in our country and that we were here celebrating some huge victories, but we're in a difficult spot. And I just want you to know I have kids your age, and I'm in this fight because I'm worried about your future. I'm going to be real honest. I'm a middle-aged woman. I've already had a pretty decent life. But I have kids who are 19 and 21. My daughter just turned 21. She survived. How many of you are over 21? Show of hands.
Yeah, just a bit.
Okay. Dave, raise your hands. A little bit over 21. And she said to me the other day, Mom, I feel like we're doing everything right, but I don't think we're going to have the life that you and Dad had. And that, it struck me. I thought, wow, I did everything right. I raised them right. And they're working hard. They're doing everything according to the way you're supposed to live here. And she doesn't think they'll ever be able to have a home. She worries about how would I ever get married? What if I have to work 2 or 3 jobs? This isn't how it's supposed to be in America. It really isn't. And I am in this because I'm really concerned about your future. So as many of you know, I ran for governor. Things didn't go the way we wanted. But I am going to stay in this fight because I know that we have a movement. And I see we've got somebody with a little camera on there. That's really interesting. Is that like a GoPro? He's got a GoPro on his head. Am I going to end up in a commercial because of this? Possibly. Good. You know what? If it's a commercial for liberals, we want you to vote with us because our policies of putting our country first are going to help you. I don't care if you're a Democrat, if you're an independent, if you're a Republican. How many of you are registered to vote in here? Back row's not registered to vote? You guys are registered to vote? Show your hand. If you're registered to vote, raise your hand. If you are not registered to vote, raise your hand. Okay, let's get there. Are you too young? Yeah. Oh, she's too young. Well, maybe Democrats would let you vote, but we're going to wait till you're 18. We're going to wait till you're 18. I don't care if you're Democrat, Independent, Republican, if you're MAGA, if you're establishment, if you're hardcore left, if you're somewhere in the middle. Things are not working out right now. Listen, when I go and fill up my car and pay a fortune for gas, and I know that you're going to fill up your car if you have a car, if you're lucky to have a car, you don't get a discount if you voted for Joe Biden. You don't get a discount when you go to Chipotle if you voted for Joe Biden. You're suffering just as much as everyone else. Groceries are more expensive, inflation is on the rise, wages are on the way down, and we have millions of people pouring across our border that are not only taking housing that we don't really have because Americans need housing, taking jobs and opportunities away from you guys. And so we got to turn this mess around. And it's with America First policies that we can do that. And by America First policies, I mean we start putting our country first because, if your house is burning down, you don't argue in the front yard about who's going to grab the hose and put the fire out. You start putting the fire out. Our house is burning down right now. And we need all hands on deck to turn this mess around. Now, whether you love him or you don't, I happen to love President Trump. I've become friends with him. I think he loves our country more than anybody. He was fighting for us. Your life, the economy was better in 2019 than it is now. The economy was, I'm 54. Okay, I'm just going to put that out there. Don't ask me later how old I am, I just told you. The economy under President Trump was better in my lifetime than it had ever been. Unemployment rates were lower for not just white Americans, but Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, Black Americans, all Americans. The mortgage rates were super low, some of the lowest we've ever seen in our country, which meant that you could go save a down payment for a home and have a lower payment, much lower, by tens of thousands a year than it is now. And so those policies worked, whether you loved them or you didn't love them. And right now the policies aren't working. We know that on day one, hour one of Joe Biden's administration, he came in and dismantled a border policy that was effective. It was so effective that we had record low border crossings during President Trump at some point. And now we have record high. We've never seen anything like it. And while I'm a compassionate person, I think Americans are the most compassionate people on the planet. We cannot absorb 12 million people invading our border when we have Americans who are living on the streets. I love Tucson. I think it's one of the great cities, not just in Arizona, but in the country. Tucson has had better days. If you've lived here for a while, you've seen it. How many of you are in your 4th year of college? How many of you are seniors? I don't want to say seniors because sometimes you're in your 4th year but you're not a senior yet. So how many of you are in your 4th year of college? When you got here 4 years ago, were the streets a little bit safer than they are even now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Things are going downhill. Things are going downhill. And I have great compassion. I've known many people who've struggled with drug addiction, alcohol addiction, but what we're seeing on the streets of Phoenix is almost a zombie apocalypse. And I don't think it's fair to the people who live here and pay taxes. The quality of life is not good. And I also don't think it's fair to the people who are in that despair. We need to turn that around. We can get people off drugs. We can get people off the streets. But we can't do it if we have a wide open border and we get somebody clean and a 50-cent pill is coming across the border and spiraling them right back down into that despair. So it's with America First policies, and I know that President Trump wants to turn things around. Let me tell you a couple of things that I want to do when I get to Washington, D.C. as your senator. Immediately, I want to secure the border, build the wall, and make sure that we are rooting out the Mexican drug cartels that have really infested our southern border and are pushing fentanyl through. You know, when I was in college, and I'm really going to date myself here, you know, we might have had a few beers here and there. We didn't have to worry about pills. We didn't have to worry about if you took a pill or a pill was dropped in your drink, that it could be the end of you. It just wasn't around. But now I know that you do. I'm sure that many of you have heard of the concerns about fentanyl and the poison that's happening. This shouldn't be this way. We need to stop this at the border. And I want to make sure we're stopping CCP from sending the ingredients over to Mexico where they are manufacturing these pills, sending them across our border, and it's coming into this community. It's taking too many young lives. I've talked to so many moms and dads who have stopped me on the campaign trail and said, I lost a son who was 19. He took one pill. I lost a daughter, 22 years old. She took a half what she thought was a Xanax, and she never woke up. I just came from an event with Karen and Clark Griffin, who lost their son Tyler. During COVID, he broke his wrist, and because of COVID, he couldn't get to a doctor, and he couldn't sleep. And a neighbor said, I've got something. It's basically a Tylenol 3, and it'll help you sleep and take that pain away. He took that pill, and he never woke up. We can't keep losing your generation. We need your generation. Your generation is our future. Dave and I are getting up there in age. We really are. Dave more so than me. And I joke, but I'm serious. When I look into your eyes, even people who maybe aren't with me, even people who aren't Republican, when I look into your eyes, I want your future to be bright. I want to make sure that you guys survive this and thrive. And you shouldn't have to work 2 and 3 jobs. This whole next 6 months, as we fight for our country, is about your future. You're the ones who have been through hell and back. And I say that because I remember what I was doing when I was, in high school and college. We were having a good time. During COVID, so much was taken away from us by people who are our elected officials and leaders. What kind of leadership is it to take young people in high school and force a mask on them when we knew anybody who had half a brain in science? I didn't even get straight A's in science, and I knew that a virus wasn't going to be held in by a mask. And yet they masked you guys. They masked your beautiful faces, and it did zero to protect you. What it did was make your life miserable. They took away your prom, they took away those fun moments where you could hang out with friends, that first kiss. They took away from many people walking graduation. They took all that away from you. That is what it means to have bad officials and bad elected representation. And you have an opportunity in 6 months to vote to change all that. It's up to you. It's up to you if you want to go back to that kind of draconian control over your lives. I don't want you to have that. I want you to have freedom. I want you to have common sense policies that are helping improve all of our lives, the people who aren't with us and the people who are. I really do. I want the most liberal Democrat to have a prosperous life. I really do. I want the most hardcore Republican to have a prosperous life. And I want everybody in between to have prosperity. And we should have prosperity here in America. So I come to you telling you I'm running for U.S. Senate. I want to go to Washington, D.C. I want to make lives better for our young people. I want to make lives better for our families. I want to make lives better for those of you who graduate from college and say, I want to open a business. Is the climate right for it? There's a lot of boarded up businesses in Arizona. Every time I come, I see another one that's boarded up. This town should be thriving. It's an incredible college town. You got the Wildcats here, for God's sakes. This, yeah, you can say whoop, that's right. What is that again? Show me that. Bear down. You know what? That's a perfect motto for this next year. It is time to bear down. That means, yes, we gotta work hard. We gotta bear down to save America. Bear down to save Arizona. Now, I'm willing to take the hits. Every single day in the media, I take hits. There was a study that was done, a researcher, and it was actually by a reputable group during the last election. And they said, the media doesn't treat Republicans the same as they treat Democrats. No shit, Sherlock. Hello. That's an old phrase, by the way. It goes way back. And they said 87% of Republicans, the media, 87% of Republicans, 87% of the time, the media coverage is negative. But it's not the same for Democrats. And at the very bottom of the article, the very last sentence, it said, there was one candidate in our study that had 100% negative news coverage. And it was yours truly. But I'm here to tell you, I don't care what they say about me. I really don't. Because there's going to come a time, and I know that we get through these difficult times, and I know that we're victorious. We are victorious. America is victorious, every single one of us. And my great-grandbabies, which at that time I hope I have many of them, are going to say to me, thank you so much for the work you did to save our country. The most nightmarish dream I could have would be if we're living in a communist country and my great-grandbabies were to come to me and say, why didn't you do more? I heard about America. It sounds so great. Why didn't you do more to save our country? I don't want to be coming to them saying, I was afraid of getting canceled. The media said mean things about me. Oh, my Twitter page got taken down. None of that matters. Not one damn bit of it. Your TikTok page, you're not on Twitter, that's old people, right? None of that matters. All that matters is your future. And in the next 6 months, you're going to decide what your future is. Is your future safety, security, freedom? The U.S. Constitution is on the line. Are you willing to stand up and fight for that? Are you willing to go out and get 10 of your friends, 10 of them, to vote for freedom? She says, yes, I am. So that you can say what you want. So that you guys can say whatever you want. These amazing men can say what they want, and we have freedom of speech. Are you willing to go out and find 10 friends and register them to vote? Who's ready to do that in the next year? Okay. Who has 10 friends? Okay. You guys have 10 friends? You got 10 friends, right? We're going to go out and register them to vote. And I will even say this, if they're Democrats, register them. Because I have a feeling in the next 6 months, things are going to get so shaky. Prices are going to get so high. Things are going to get stressful. And we're going to see our Democrat friends, and I do call them friends because they're Americans, they're going to start saying, this is not working out. I don't know what I was thinking, but we're going to vote to save our country. And that is a vote for Kari Lake and Donald J. Trump. So with that, I would love to do some question and answer because, I want to hear what's on your minds. One of the things I love most about President Trump's agenda going forward is, and any other politician would say this, and I would say, that's pie in the sky, there's no way in hell. It's called Freedom Cities. Have you heard about it? It's 10 cities across the country where the federal government, and God knows the federal government has way too much land in Arizona, we want it back. Federal government gives back to the state federal land to build brand new cities with affordable housing for young people to start a life, to have an affordable home, and live the American dream. You guys deserve it. You've worked hard, you've lived through some tough times, and I am all for that. And when I'm your US Senator, I'm gonna work hard to make sure that's a reality. And I'm gonna work really hard to make sure one of those freedom cities is right here in Arizona. And hopefully some of you will be getting your first house there. So there's some great policy that President Trump wants to push. I want to get behind it. Anything that strengthens individuals who want to live in a free America, who want to build families, build business, have safety, safe streets, and prosperity and peace. So with that, do we want to do some questions? Where's Kari?